This is Dr. Nicole Brown. We are celebrating Nurses Week. Happy Nurses Week to everyone. So I just want to go over some of the highlights for the week. On my social media, I have posted some of the freebies. So there are many freebies out here that you can come and take a part of. Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, different places. So you just got to ask them and, let them know you're a nurse. And, hopefully they'll be one of the stores that'll be participating. Okay. Now, let's go over every day for Nurses Week. Just a quick review. Now, we are here. I have a paint party going on in full effect. So everyone say hello.
Hi.
Hello. We have some stragglers that have not gotten here yet. But we have a paint party going on for Nurses Week, celebrating nurses. Um, and it was a spare the moment. So we got a few people in. We have some people already finished painting and left. So we are still talking about nursing, our celebration of nurses. Now, Nurses Week, well, actually, May is the whole month for nursing. We celebrate nurses for the entire month of May. And then Nurses Week is May 6th through the 12th. So let me go over some of the highlights that we're going to be doing for Nurses Week. Some things you should be focused on. Okay. Now that is May the 6th. That was yesterday. That's National Nurses Day officially. Ronald Reagan enacted that back in the 80s so we can celebrate Nurses Day. And that's the National Nurses Day. May 7th is the birthday of Mary Eliza Mohoney. She is the first African American nurse to graduate from nursing school in the United States. So we celebrate and honor Mary Mohoney. This is a picture of her in the middle. So let me turn all of my social media around so y'all can see all of our pictures. And we are celebrating Nurses Week. So I have all of these things here.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And I got one more to turn around. All right. So we are celebrating our Nurses Week in honor of Mary Mohoney's birthday, which is May the 7th. That's today. We want to talk about the contributions of our African American nurses. And we have Mary Mohoney here. She's in the middle. She graduated from nursing school. Out of 42 students, 4 were African American, and she was one was African American, and the rest were 42. And only 4 nurses graduated, and she was one of the 4 who graduated. So it was a very lengthy process, and we just appreciate her being the first African American professional nurse out there. And her birthday is May the 7th, so we honor her today. Okay. Now, May the 8th is National School Nurse Day. So if you have some nurses who are working in the schools, let them know tomorrow is their day. So you should check them out, say hello, let them know that you appreciate them. School is getting ready to let out soon, but it's National School Nurse Day, and that is tomorrow. May 9th, I celebrate the military nurse. Now, the military nurse, I'm going to focus on my aunt here, Hazel Johnson Brown. She is first African American to reach the rank of brigadier of general, and she was a brigadier general. And she also, she also served in the military over 20 some years. So she did a very good job. I still get people still come up to me and compliment me on all the contributions of Brigadier General Hazel Johnson Brown. And this is her picture right here. So that was an amazing opportunity to meet her. Then we also have the Tuskegee Airmen nurses. Oh, there's a whole brigade of nurses who were with the Tuskegee Airmen in the war back in the day. And she has a lot of information at the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. So we have our nurses that are honored over there. And of course, the Tuskegee Airmen nurse is honored at the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. Also, my aunt, Brigadier General Hazel Johnson Brown. She is also her uniform and pictures of her are at the museum in Washington D.C. Also, Harriet Tubman served as a nurse for the family that she used to work with. So we honor Harriet Tubman as an African American nurse. Also, Susie King Taylor, she was a nurse in this is her picture right here, the cover of her book. She was a nurse in the Civil War, and she did made a lot of contributions, and she has a book written about her, and she's also at the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., as well as, of course, Harriet Tubman. Now we have another nurse who is Mary Seacole. Mary Seacole is the oldest nurse, and she was back in the day with Florence Nightingale. And that was way in the 1800s. So we're going to go with Florence Nightingale's birthday is May the 12th. So we're going to talk about her more when we get to May the 12th. And then also we have, this is one of my favorite books. This is the book, The Path We Tread by Mary Carnegie. She was a nursing faculty member at Hampton University, and Hampton University is one of the top three African American nursing schools that started in this country. And Hampton University here in Virginia is still up and running. So they had a faculty member. Her name was Mary Carnegie, and she wrote a book about the Black history of nursing. So it's really very inspirational. If you're interested in nursing, I definitely highly recommend that book. Okay. Now, May the 10th, I celebrate men in nursing. Okay. We need more men in nursing. We have to promote men. Um, a lot of y'all might not know that men started nursing with the Catholic Church. So nursing started with the Catholic monks in the Catholic Church. So it's very prevalent that we honor them for starting and initiating nursing. Now, women took over nursing when we started having wars, and nurses were they went out to the war and helped in different wars, civil war, um, and then also they were at home, so they had to do more things. And then over time, nurses when the men went away to war, the women became nurses, and they took over. Back in 1960s, men had to petition Congress to be nurses in the military because women had taken over that role. So we need more men in nursing, and we have to understand what nurses do. Now, May, Hug a Nurse Day. It's our week. We still need attention. We need to be appreciated. So just hug a nurse May the 11th, okay? And then May the 12th is Florence Nightingale's birthday. Florence Nightingale is the original nurse researcher. She was in the Crimean War also with Mary C. Cole. Now, Florence Nightingale, what she did was she was the first nurse researcher. She was able to take data that she collected while she was out in the field, known as the lady with the lamp, and she was trying to help soldiers. So she collected data and she let them know that the soldiers needed, clean air, clean water, clean, dry clothes. They needed food. They needed assistance. And she collected data on how we could improve the conditions of the soldiers out during the Crimean War. Okay. So that's a brief history of Nurses Week. And I just wanted to go over and review. And then, sorry, today we're doing our nursing history, and we're focused on Mary Mahoney, who was today is her birthday. And she was our first professional African American nurse in the United States. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. Now I have my trusty co-host, Corey. Do you have any questions? And hello, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is Nurses Week, and we are celebrating nurses all over the globe because nurses give so much and they don't receive a lot in comparison. So, How many years does it make now that you have been a nurse?
Oh my gosh, today it makes 31 years of nursing. Today is my 31-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
So, what is
Thank
the
you.
biggest lesson that you have learned by being a nurse?
I think I would encourage a lot of nurses to go back to our original state. Nurses were independent contractors. We did not work in the hospital, especially African American nurses. We weren't allowed in the hospital until like the 60s or 70s. So we used to do independent contracting, and we made our own schedules, we made our own hours, and we requested our own payments. So we were not dependent on a hospital in any kind of form, and that seemed to work. A lot of, especially African American nurses, started out as nurse midwives. They mastered the art of nurse midwifery, and we started that off of the slave ship with learning the art of nurse midwifery. A lot of African American women also paid for their freedom with the art and science of nurse midwifery back in the day. So I love having entrepreneur spirit. We do need nurses in the hospital. Yeah, please don't leave, because that would shut the hospitals down. But over time, after you are seasoned, if you're ready for a new exciting adventure, there's so many opportunities out here as a nurse entrepreneur. Remember, there are 300 careers in nursing. So the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. And they are over probably about 20 to 30 entrepreneur aspects of nursing that you can pursue. And it can be very lucrative for those persons who are interested in having their own time, managing their own time, and also, making their money. So you can do those things. Excuse me. Go ahead.
So, we are almost at the end of the school year for a lot of people. And, some people are undecided either in their majors or they are young and don't know what they want to be. Well, recently during a graduation, I saw only two people graduate in nursing informatics. Can we talk a little bit about nursing informatics and why is it not as popular as it would be in this day and age?
Nursing informatics is at a master's level. So that's one of the specialties you can choose in a master's program. And nursing informatics is going to be the person who's at the facility who specializes in the computer aspect of nursing, such as the collection of data. Back in the days when we first started with computers, each department would have a different computer system. It didn't make sense. Like lab would have a department, their own computer system. The physicians would have their own computer. The nurses would have their own computer, and no one was talking. So they came up with a program that we need to make sure everyone has access to the computer system, because nurses need to have access to know what the doctors are putting in. Um, Lab, we need some things from the lab, so we need to get the information from the lab. We also need information from different floors. We also need to be able to collect records from other hospitals and a place to store them. So nursing informatics is extremely important because you have to determine which computer system is going to be best for that hospital, and use one that is universal for all departments. So persons who work in the lab, they can input lab information, but they can't see the patient's history. So you have to protect some of the information, and that's important. So they only need to be accessible to the part that they need. So that is why we need nursing informatics and nurses who specialize in computers. If you like playing with computers and tinkering with computers and also video games, then you want a steady, a career, nursing would be it. And then you can go into your master's degree pursuing nurse informatics. It's a specialty field. Of course, it starts at six figures and it's very lucrative. Next question.
Yes, ma'am. So, as we're talking about like systems and computers and things like that, um, you've seen the progression in your 30 plus years of nursing from like paper charts to computers. Can we talk a little bit about how things have changed and what you see going forward in the future?
I think some things have improved. I do like computer charting because you have access to see exactly what's going on with other providers, how they have added to the program. Like the other day, I was at the VA hospital. I'm a veteran, so when I go to the VA hospital, I'm able to talk to them about, okay, I got labs or I got X-rays from another department. Can you look? Can we look at the results together? And I can do that with my internist or my PCP. And I think that's very helpful that you have a computer system that you can bring all that information together. Um, Also, the one thing I don't like the cell phones in the room because people are ooh, it's a good thing and it can be a bad thing because sometimes people don't understand what you're doing and it may look like you're being maybe aggressive and you're not, especially when you have some nursing home clients who may be uncooperative and you have to coerce them to, do their bathing and changing and stuff. And I've seen that some family members think that it could be abuse, but it's not. Because because they want these people bathed and changed. And sometimes you have to figure out what is going on with your patient, and you have to learn how to work with them to get them to do some of the things that they need to do. Now, the other day I did see it was a nurse who recorded a physician who was cursing her out and saying some bad things to her. And I have experienced that also. So that was pretty good that we at least had, a record and a documentation of this doctor being very inappropriate to nurses. Also, we have some documentation of the other day I was watching, and they have the police are going to tell people that their family member has died. And a lot of people were very upset saying, why are you showing this? And I'm like, they need to see this. They need to see what goes on when you have to go and tell somebody that. Now, I worked in the emergency room for 10 years. Please know it's been some rough days. Okay. I have I have been there when we've had 100 people show up. Middle of the day, we had some drug dealer activity going on. And this little boy was shot up, and he didn't make it. It's very hard to go out here to 100 people to tell 100 people that somebody did not make it. It's gonna get violent. I mean, I've had to be the shield in between the doctor and the family members. We've had to, especially when we had 100 people, we had to call the state troopers in and the local sheriff's department, and they had to lock arms to protect us from the family and the neighbors and the people in the community. So, I wish people could see that because that was dangerous. And, I had some limited information with death and dying. So I really did not understand the death and dying process and how it affects people so much. So sometimes we would be having taking care of a patient. We did CPR, but the patient has died. But we have to do a few things before we can bring the family in because they weren't there when we were doing CPR. So I would take them into the x-ray room and we had some snacks and drinks and I would give them snacks and drinks. And then the doctor would come in and say, we're very sorry, your so-and-so has died. These drinks and snacks start going flying against the wall because everybody's mad and they're upset and they're like, why you didn't tell us? And they're upset. And I think that people need to understand, what nurses go through. And also it's given me, when I saw the video of and it's on the police cam of them having to go to someone's home and tell them this lady, her son had died the night before, and she had just talked to him. and they had to go in there and say that your son was in a car accident. It was 3 people. Um, and he made mention of the one who made it, and their family was at the hospital, and then they had to say there were 2 people in there who did not make it, and we think that that one was your son. And it was very difficult because this lady, she was running around all in the yard. She was throwing things. They had to have some more police come to calm her down. And this person can't, they're not going to feel comfortable with her driving to the hospital. So you have to, calm her down and try to get someone to help. So that's a different perspective, in healthcare, because you're the first ones, especially if you're EMS in this accident, and it's a car accident. They're the first responders. They're on the scene. Then this person is transported to the hospital, and her son didn't make it in his transport. Then it was another gentleman. The other one died on the site, on the scene. So I thought it was helpful, because I think that people need to see exactly what we're going through when we have to make those announcements. I remember going into an emergency room, and I have to get boxes of tissue, and I have to hold them behind my back. So if we have 1 or 2 family members, or maybe 5, the doctor would go in front of us, and he would make the announcement, and we would be behind him with the tissues. If it's 20 or more, and they're very, very angry and yelling, we want to know now, we're going to be in between. The doctor's going to be behind us when they make this announcement, and we're going to be near the door, because it can get very dangerous for us. So, and I know people can't see that in the hospital. We can't show that. But I thought when the police were showing it on their police cam, that, now they're seeing how nurses are also being affected. Okay. So I thought that was really good. All righty. Now we have some more people who are leaving our paint party. So yeah, show your pictures. I'm going to turn all of my cameras around, so we have some of our pictures. Y'all can see that we have very nice pictures. I'm going to put everything around. So we are live on Instagram, Facebook, and also now I'm getting ready to start painting. So we have Vonda, we have Sarita, we have Annie. So these are some of my paintings. I haven't started yet. I've been busy.
Yes.
And then we have other people on it. My assistant, my daughter, my father, and our friend was here. So we had some people painting. So I did this at the spare of the moment. So, and it was free.
And it's very relaxing, and we appreciate it.
We had some music playing, but for y'all to hear me, I had to turn it off. So, okay. So we got some pictures going, and I'm getting ready to do my picture in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Nicole, Dr. Nicole.
Thank y'all for coming.
I enjoyed it.
All right. All right. So thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate everyone who came by. Thank you, but thank you. All right.
Thank you. You didn't show your dog.